Welcome to Dungeon Mastering is Easy, the show where we show that anyone could be a dungeon master. Hello, my name is Vahid Qualls. I'm the host of the show, and today we're joined by Caustic Phoenix. Caustic is a multi-award-winning Twitch streamer, game convention host, and a digital media expert. I have no idea how on earth she finds time to do everything that she does, but we're really excited to have Caustic with us. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing today?
Listen, I'm so excited to be here. Anytime I get to work and hang out with you, the answer is always yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. We've had a couple of opportunities in the past where we've been on each other's channels, Twitch channels, and it's always been a lot of fun. So Caustic was one of the very first people that I reached out to when we were establishing this new podcast series. So good to have you with us again.
I'm so excited. This idea is fantastic, and I know so many people are going to enjoy it.
I hope so. Today, we're going to be looking at a really, I think, crucial topic for anyone who's new to Dungeons & Dragons, a new dungeon master. We're looking at what do you do if you don't know the rules? And yeah, so just as one of the things, before we were setting this up, Caustic and I were talking, and I said, look, these are the new rule books for the 2024 rules. It's a lot, isn't it?
Just a few books. Just a few. I've read all of them, of course, obviously.
Yeah, of course. Before we get into our main theme, have you dungeon mastered? How did you get into it?
Yes, I have dungeon mastered a few times in my life here and there. And I started it actually when we were bored at an airport, and I thought, let's do it. And then they go, I don't want to run one, though. I'm like, then I'll do it. And that's all it took.
For
is
real?
That when nobody else volunteers, I'll step up and we're going to make this story happen.
In an airport.
In an airport, and we used a napkin for our map. So we don't need any fancy tools.
Do you guys have any dice or anything on you?
Yeah, I typically carry around a set of mini dice that fit in a tiny tin can that used to be a mint can.
Of course you do. Because you never know when you might need them.
Exactly. Always carry a pack of travel mini dice. No one will ever regret it.
There we go. Takeaway message for this podcast. You heard it. Okay, let's talk about it. What do you do? What are some insights that you have when you don't know the rules?
Oh, yes. Set some boundaries because, to be honest, you can over-prepare for a situation or it can feel daunting. It's like studying for a test. Figure out what the test is about instead of trying to figure out everything about that topic, right? You're only going to be asked, 10, 20, 30 questions max. That doesn't mean you need to know all 1 million different things. And the nice thing is that this is an open book test. At any point in time, you can just open the book. So there's no need to have everything down to set memorization. The goal is that you are a guide, not the book itself. You don't have to be the book. So remember, you are a living human being with just one brain. There's only so much information you can fit in, and fill it with creativity and leave the rules for the books.
Yeah, for sure. Like in the new player's handbook, which is awesome, by the way, there are 48 subclasses alone. Right?
Oh, so many.
Each of them, exactly, each of them has special abilities. How can a dungeon master possibly know all of that, plus the 400 spells?
All 400 spells. As someone who often avoids playing spellcasters because I don't want to learn all of the spells, it's important, again, give yourself guidance, but also as a DM, talk to your players. Get an idea, and then you can start going through briefly on some of the general ideas of, okay, this sounds like it's a right fit. As a DM, remember, you only have to be the guide. You don't have to be the decider on things. So it's a conversation you get to have with your players to say, okay, you want to go in as a barbarian. All right, tell me a little bit about the story behind the barbarian. And that's kind of how I run things, is I run things first of, tell me what you want to achieve, and then we'll look at the rule book as a secondary to figure out what you want to achieve and how we can make those rules work with what you want. Or my favorite thing is to homebrew if those don't allow for it. That's making sure that you're prioritizing the story at your table and it comes out as something unique.
You know, there's, broadly speaking, there are kind of two big schools of thought around how to approach rules. The two are, one is rules as written, which is
Raw.
Right? You do exactly what it says in the book,
Mm-hmm.
and the kind of basis of this way of approaching it is that these rules have been play tested. They give balance and things like that, that's all good. And the other way is called rule of cool, where you're free to wing it on the fly. Things might not be consistent, but having fun is at the heart of it. Both things have value. Neither of them are bad. They're different approaches. I have a question for you, though. You said right at the beginning, to go back right at the beginning, you talked about setting boundaries and don't over-prepare. What do you mean?
So oftentimes when we over-prepare, we're over-controlling of the narrative and what we think happens. The best part of D&D is that everyone gets to participate. That also means there's a million different things can happen. As a DM, I've learned that it's better to pull back on what I need to prepare and allow myself to trust my instincts of improv, of my ability to look up on things, and to trust my players that we co-create together. So if I already have a set list, like these are the only magic items that they can have, or these are the only monsters they can encounter, like, well, what happens if they don't go to the forest where that is, and they stay in the bakery shop debating over the prices of apple pies, which D&D groups do often? How do I now create perhaps a little apple pie mimic instead, right? I'm not adapting to the needs of my audience, my players, if I'm over preparing and I've put so much time and investment and then eventually kind of loss if I don't do what I've already created. But that's just for me at that point.
Yeah.
So by over preparing and over structuring, you limit what you can actually have in the reality of the world of D&D.
Yeah, it's really interesting. From my own experience, in times when I've really prepared down to granular level, I either feel disappointed when something doesn't happen, or in the worst case scenario, I found that there's been times when I've railroaded the narrative in a way that the players didn't really want to go, but because I had prepared for it, that's the way we're going.
You should see this. I made this really cool thing, and you absolutely have to love it. And that's that. Yes.
Yeah.
But it hurts because it is something that we really love and created. Like, we developed this whole cool city for them to explore with all these cool shops. And there's this really cool NPC shopkeeper that we developed that, is very quirky and give them this unique special side quest. And they still talk to the cat outside and never enter into the store at all.
That's the problem. Tip number 2.
And I know your players, they do that.
Tip number 2. If you want characters to go a certain way, never put an animal in between them and that plot point.
Yes.
Oh,
that's a real fact.
Honestly,
never put an animal between them and that plot point.
We had I know we're talking war stories. I don't mean to. This isn't going to be all about war stories, but
I love it.
One of the shows we did. It was a whole anti-hero story called the Outcasts of Arumia. They weren't lovable people. They were outcasts, and one of the early monsters they came across was a death dog. This is kind of a plague dog, a 2-headed monstrosity. And of course, what do you think they did?
Let's adopt the death dog.
Exactly. Exactly. They adopt, even when I didn't hold back, They didn't, not just one successful animal handling role isn't going to turn this thing into a pet.
No. Puppy.
And
yes.
It infected them, but did they give up? No. And then the audience of our show made fan art for this thing.
Listen, this is your own mistake.
It's my mistake. So I've learned never put an animal between the characters and the plot point. Anyway.
Yes.
So,
but you're right. Like, you learn so much every time you do a session. If you're just starting out, don't plan to do like the whole Curse of Strahd. Like, don't start off saying, I've got this brand new world building that I want to throw people into. Start with the one shot. Allow yourself to learn. Allow yourself to understand and know who your players are. I know you do a good job of this, Fahid, of like understanding your players, how they react, what they want. And then you do this really good marriage because you've done some amazing world building. But was the first game you ran a massive homebrewed world build?
Caustic. I mean,
yes.
I started when there were basically no rules. Like you with a napkin, we had a piece of paper and we drew little squares, and I'd put the word 3 skeleton in the box, and that was the room. That was the degree of preparation. Whole bunch of boxes with some lines for some walls. That was the entire adventure. So, yeah.
I love that. I love that.
You said an interesting thing earlier on. You said you turn to the rules to look things up when you need to. When is it useful to look up the rules, and how do you do it that doesn't bog down the narrative?
Sure. Definitely look up rules, especially if things are going to be reoccurring. For example, if you want to bring in a magic item, if you're first time starting, I recommend looking at actual magic items and some of their levels, because you don't want to accidentally, for your first time, homebrew something that's way overpowered, and now you have players that are way overpowered and you don't know how to handle them, right? So if it's something that's going to be recurring, or let's say a character has a particular trait, you want to make sure that you understand how they're going to use it. If I have players, right, I prefer that they send me their character sheets at least a week in advance, so that way I can review them. I can look over all of their actions that they can take. I can review their spells, because I want to be there to help guide them when they go, am I interpreting this spell right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So there's some of that prep, and you can always have shortcuts, right? We have DM screens, or actual literal screens right now that we use. It's perfectly fine to have up notes. For the longest time, my brain could not function of understanding the difference between when do I tell people to make a wisdom versus an intelligence roll. It's a small little thing, but when you're in the middle of telling a story, your brain isn't trying to determine the separation of two. It's working and putting all of its power elsewhere. So it's okay to have shortcuts, because the best part about your notes is that nobody gets to see them but you. So you can write whatever you need for it to be helpful for you, even if it's like the pronunciation guide for certain NPCs, right? That may not be their real spelling, but it's the spelling that helps me say it in the right way, right? Or if I know like certain distances and challenges, I have those pieces of information that are for me. If you get the books, bookmark, sticky note. Books are best used when they're worn. So feel free creating those shortcuts for yourself. I love D&D Beyond, right? I will all the time quickly search up a rule, or I'll have 40 tabs up, right? So that way I could quickly see and find what I'm looking for, often by different browsers. I know we talk about that later, but yeah, there's different techniques and tools that allow you to know if it's reoccurring and I need to make a rule, I need to make sure that it's one that's consistent and is going to work for the rest of this game.
Yeah. So then I love it. That's brilliant. So, if it's a recurring thing, spell, an item, or even a trait for a character, you want to know it beforehand. You ask the players to send their characters to you so you can brush up and make sure that you understand their characters. Brilliant. That makes a lot of sense. Let's say you're in a situation where you're in the middle of action or fighting or something like that, and you know you need to look something up. What do you do if you don't know the rule in the heat of an intense situation? Caustic Phoenix has a lot more great ideas, but first we want to take a quick break and tell you about the fun book that we're creating here at Dice Legenz called You Need More Orcs. It's 100 plus pages of orky awesomeness, fun, fierce, frightening orcs with abilities you have never seen before. But there's more than just the 60 stat blocks. There's social structures, cultural practices, name generators, orc expressions and sayings, so much to amp up the orcs of your campaign. Head to the Kickstarter link in the video and podcast description and grab yourself a copy, because you need more orcs.
Two things. First is going to be more of an emotional check. I see this both in myself and other DMs, especially when we're starting it for the first time, because there often feels like a lot of pressure that we have to know things and that we have to handle things perfectly. When challenges like that happen, see it and emotionally respond to it as an exciting opportunity. Like, oh, I hadn't thought of that. That's really cool.
That's a great
or,
idea.
This is going to make things challenging for me. Like that also feeds into the excitement of your players, because not only are you the facilitator of the story, right? You are also the facilitator of the emotional engagement for your players. So when they pose a new interesting challenge or a unique interpretation of some of their actions and you go, I don't know the answer to that, don't see it as like, oh, that's embarrassing for me, or that you have to act defensive. Be excited. Like, this is great. We've not come up with this before. Let's figure this out. So one is to check that emotional. And two, if it thinks it's going to take a little bit longer, allow your players to participate in perhaps fleshing out the story behind it. Understanding, like, give us a little bit of insight into your character's mind. So that way they're starting to flesh out, especially if it's a live story, right? Where we can't just pause it and it's just us and our friends at the table. It allows them to share more of like what their character is going through. It tells about their motivation, about why they would make a move like that. While it gives you a little bit of time to look up and say, okay, here's where we're going with that.
Yeah, I love that whole emotional thing that you make a little side adventure out of it. Really, in some ways, when you're talking about that, it reminded me of a Star Wars role playing game from the glorious '90s. It was a D6 system. It was called the Star Wars role playing game. Wow,
clever,
anyway,
love it,
love it. You know what you're getting. Okay,
yes.
They had the Dungeon Master's Guide on that has, I think, one of the most bestest sections on how to be a Dungeon Master ever. And one of the suggestions they make is that if you don't know the rule, you admit it and you say, I don't know what that rule is. I'll find out for next time. But for now, what I'm going to say is this. Like, okay, I cast a lightning bolt. I don't know exactly what the damage for a lightning bolt is, and we've never had it in the game. I'm going to say it's 10d6. Go, roll. We'll find out for next time. And then you find out it's 8d6, and you don't beat yourself up about it. You go, oh, well, I didn't get it quite right, but in the heat of the moment, that was fun.
Yes.
So,
I love that take. That's so smart of just trusting yourself. And you're right, like in that is that you can always say we're going to do it differently moving forward.
Yeah. For now, this is my ruling for now. I don't know. I really don't know. And
yes.
Yeah. And I love the idea of getting your players involved. And it's also possible, I know you're saying that, a thought that came to mind of, digging into the players, asking them, what's going on for their players and all that kind of stuff. It's also possible I was thinking when you're saying that, to involve the players and saying, hey, can you look it up for me? Or even make it a challenge. All right, guys, you got 1 minute to find it. Go. Who's going to find it fastest?
That is a brilliant idea, because probably if you're the first-time DM, your players might also be first-time players. So we're all here learning together. It's a great chance to be like, hop on in.
Exactly. Love it. I think one of the things that you've brought up, which is really interesting, is even though we're talking about what you do when you don't know the rules, what you've actually been talking about is that the narrative is first. Narrative and character is first, and the rules are there to support it. That's what I'm getting from what you're talking about. And that what we're doing is co-creating a story, and that the rules are there to reinforce that story. And therefore, there are times when we need to look up those rules for whatever reason, and that there are specific times when we really want to know, the Dungeon Master, we really want to know what they are, especially when they're recurring around characters or items or things like that. And that there are lots of tricks that we can do to prepare ourselves. We can have bookmarks in their books. We can have tabs. We can make sure that the players send the character information to us beforehand so we can prepare ourselves. There's all these great tips that you've given so that when we do need to know the rules, we've prepared as much as that we need to without being over-prepared.
Yes. Give yourself breathing room. And this is also the safety of why I recommend starting with one-shots. Like, the stakes are so much lower with one-shots. You can make up anything. You don't even have to worry about taking notes, because that's another layering of DM, like taking notes and remembering everything so that way you can thread it back in later. Like, that's a whole other layer and challenge of being a DM. But right now, when you're making things, I love one-shots because I can make up like, yeah, there's a mountain range there. Who cares? Maybe I could blow it up and it'll have no implications because we're never coming back to this world again, right? Like, it's safe, and it's a place that I can play in and learn it as we go through, and my players can learn it as we go through. Now, I will say I'm going to catch myself on one thing, because I think all of those are really great ideas, but you might sit at a table and you might be one of those people that really just loves learning how to play a game. I have friends that do that. Like, when we sit down at a board game and we're going to learn a new board game, they are like, let's read every single rule first and we're going to set it up. I'm not that person. I'm like, let's just figure it out as we go. Does it take us longer to finish the game of Sorry? Yes, because I'm making up some of my rules. But if you're the kind of person, and there's nothing wrong with it, if you're like, I want to learn those rules, that's perfectly fine. But then you've established that we want to do this. We're all comfortable with taking more pauses in the game so that way we can look it up. That's okay.
Yeah, that's right. Brilliant. Hey, this has been really helpful. I've gained a lot from this. That's excellent. What we're going to do now is we're going to move on to wind up our thing. We're going to do one of our regular segments that we have on our show. And this segment is called the Rules Test Challenge,
Da, da, da.
which I think is perfectly appropriate for this. Here's how the Rules Test Challenge is. We are each going to throw 3 rules at the other player, at the other one of us. And we'll see if we know the answer. If we get it right, we get a point. There are half points do come into this. Do you want to fling first or receive first?
I will fling first.
I'm ready.
Okay. Name the gentle creature that is known to radiate sparkles of positive energy.
Floofs? No? What?
Hollyphants.
Oh, there we go.
Floof is a really good guess, though. And I think that, that's actually a perfect example of, there are a couple of options, and it's however you want to interpret it.
I would never have got that. Okay.
I love that.
Okay, you ready for this one?
Yes.
What is the range of a short bow?
30 feet.
No.
Is it 60?
No. It's 8320.
No.
8320.
8320?
Oh, I'm having to look it up now. Oh my goodness. Oh wait. Am I wrong? I'm sure I'm pretty sure that I'm right. Oh my goodness.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
Short bow 8320.
8320.
Right. Okay, I'm ready for number 2.
Okay, sneak attack adds how much damage if rolled the highest for a first level rogue?
I think a first level rogue gets. Do you know what? I was thinking of asking you this question, so I'm so glad but I hadn't looked it up yet. I think that a rogue at first level gets 1d6 extra.
Yes, it does.
1 point for me. I'm on the board. You ready?
Oh, man.
Okay. What is the name of the magical creature that is a cat but has wings and can fly?
Oh, no, I don't know this one. We just called it Tom in our story. Tom.
Tom, we'll give you half a point. Tressum.
Oh, okay. Well,
Okay, you get a half a point because Tom. Fine. Okay, I'm ready.
I will say this. This is also a clever thing when you might have people who know the rules better than you and are perhaps for some reason they're sitting at your table and you're comfortable with that, but they try to check you on rules or try to hold you on things. Do slightly off versions of those things. Like the Temu versions of a dragon, right? That way it's well, no, it's not really a blue dragon. It's a blue dragon made out of cardboard, so my own stats are what I make it. And so people can't metagame it on you because you don't want them to metagame. 1, it's not fun when people do that. But 2, that's really hard if you're a new DM and you're sitting at a table of experienced people. You don't want them to put that in their brain. That takes away from that story. Tweak things.
Totally.
Call it Tom instead of whatever it actually is, right? To call it whatever you want and then take an inspiration from a stat and then adopt it or adapt it so it works for you.
Love it.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Let's come up with another. The Sentinel at Death's Door, a reaction which turns a critical hit into a normal hit, belongs to which class, typically?
Paladin.
Cleric.
Ah!
But deity involved, I think that counts as a half point. Paladin and cleric share a lot of the same spell cases, so I think you're good there.
I'm sitting on 1.5. You're sitting on 1.5. Come on, you need this point. You ready?
Okay, yes.
Name 3 martial classes.
Oh, no, I don't do well with pop quizzes. I'm just going to pass. I fail.
Okay. There we go. So the point of this exercise is to show Caustic is an incredibly experienced dungeon master. I've played a few games. There's no possible way that either of us know the rules off the top of our head with these things. You just can't know it all.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter.
You don't have to.
You don't have to. Hey, Caustic, it has been so fun hanging out with you.
It was a blast. And to be honest, I enjoyed this because not only did we have a fun conversation, but I learned something too. And I enjoy that so much.
That the cat's called a tressum?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, can you tell people how they can connect with you?
Yes, you can find me on Twitch as Caustic Phoenix and on other various social media. Or if you want to connect on a business level, you can find me on LinkedIn under Beck Godsey.
Wonderful. So good to have you with us. Now, if you want to support Dice Legenz channel, one of the ways that you can do that is become a patron over on patreon.com. We really appreciate the support that our patrons over on Patreon give us. Head over there. The link is down below, as are the links for Caustic's to connect with Caustic. Links are down below in either the podcast or the video description, depending upon how you are watching or listening to this. You can become a patron of Dice Legenz for free. You can follow for free. It doesn't cost you anything. Or there are 3 simple tiers of ways that you can support us. Thank you, everyone. And look, have a go. Pick up the dice, become a dungeon master, and we'll catch you next time.